Hi, you're watching Mud Guy RC, and this is our track. All right, today we're finally going to show you the track. I'm going to give you a quick overview of the layout. I'm going to walk through it. After that, I'm going to show you exactly how I made this track, what I do to maintain it, and what you can do to make a track similar to this with saving a little bit of money. So let's start out here. We're going to go over this tabletop jump. This is the widest part of the track right here. This is where everybody would start out in the beginning. And then once the race starts, we come around here to straightaway. And this turn you have to slow down a little bit and then hit this jump. And then immediately apply the brakes and you come into a hairpin turn here. Maybe use this bank a little bit. Then you take another little jump here into a really serious hairpin turn where you can use this bank up top here. This is our spotting hole right here. This is where Scooch is going to stand. He's going to be the spotter for the whole race. So if somebody flips or whatever, he's going to run from here to get the car and flip it in the right direction. Then right here we have a little tricky jump. It's kind of on an angle. Didn't do that intentionally. So you got to slow down here, hit this jump, do a hairpin turn here, and then gun it towards the tabletop jump. So that's pretty much the overview of the track. So let's get into some of the tools that I use to do the track. First thing that I did was I rototilled a 35 by 35 foot square. Well, actually, the very first thing I did was I drew a picture. That's what everybody should do. Draw a picture of your track so you can you have an idea of what you're going to do before you get into actually removing your earth. And take into consideration drainage, okay? If your track's going downhill, you don't really want to have your berms and your bank turns at the low end of your track for drainage. I'll show you a little bit of some things that I did for drainage on this track a little bit later, but let's start out. First thing I did was I rototilled a 35 by 35 foot square, made the dirt loose. I ground up all the turf and everything like that. And then from there, I used a shovel. Most people have a shovel. You want to roughly make your jumps, you know, pile lots of dirt in the center and then just kind of keep piling it on top so it, you know, it forms like a jump looking shape. And after you get a nice mound of dirt for your jump or your bank or your bank turn or your berm, then you can use this. This is like your artist paintbrush. This is like your artist paintbrush right here. The grater is actually I used it to shape everything out, make it nice and contoured. After that, I used the roller here. This is filled with water. It's really heavy, and you can roll it to compact all the dirt. That seals the dirt up. It makes it a little bit more impervious to water when it rains, and it makes the track nice and smooth so you can go really fast on it. Gives it a nice clean edge too. I have to do this every so often. Over the winter time, every time the ground would freeze, it would thrust up and I would have to wait till it would thaw out again so I could roll it. In the summer, I'm hoping to be a little bit nicer. I won't have to do this so much. If I couldn't use this in a specific area, I use this. It's called a tambour. These come in different weights. Not necessarily bigger is better. This one here is 8 inch by 8 inch. There was a bigger one than this, but it was too heavy. You gotta remember, you're gonna be pounding this thing a lot, so you don't necessarily want to get the biggest one. But this thing works pretty good in areas where you can't get the roller. And what I used here, I don't know if you want to take a shot here, hon. The 4-inch corrugated pipe. You can get that at the Home Depot or True Value hardware store. Most you know, Lowe's would have it. I found the best deal was at True Value. For 100 feet, it was 60 bucks. This track I used exactly 210 feet. Everything you see here is exactly 210 feet. And I nailed it down with these 12-inch galvanized nails. Now at True Value, these are really expensive. At the Home Depot, these were 65 cents a piece. So True Value, I got a better deal on the corrugated pipe, but Home Depot is a better place to get the nails, and I used a bunch of these. I spray painted the tops black, just so, not necessarily because they look really bad. It was just if the tops would rust, I would think it would, you know, I just basically wanted to protect the tops of the nails. I have a landscaping buddy, and I asked him if he could spray the track for weeds. We did this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, basically at the end of winter, as like a pre-emergence so we don't get a whole lot of weeds on the track. And this is what he came up with. This was from Tractor Supply. Can you zoom in on the label there, because I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's 41% glyphosate plus concentrate with surfactant, grass, and weed killer. So hopefully this does the trick. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have weeds here this time of year anyway, so only time will tell. This was 2.5 gallons. This cost 50 bucks, and we used about half of it. So seeing our track is roughly a 35 foot by 35 foot square. That's 1,225 square feet, and we used half of this. This is a 2.5 gallon bottle of concentrate. So this will go another round. I'm planning on maybe doing this 3 or 4 times a year during the vegetation season. And like I said, I have yet to see if this is going to work, but I'm hoping it does. So if you're building a RC car track on a budget, these are your 4 basic tools that you're going to need right here. To remove the turf, now I didn't use this on my track because I had the rototiller, but to remove the turf, you'd use a pickaxe like this. Okay, you got to get the one with the adze type head, and you can remove the turf just like this. It'll take time, but it works. And it's a lot cheaper than a rototiller. Okay, after you get all the turf up, you can keep the turf and use that for fill on your jumps. Put it at the bottom. Then build your jumps with the shovel, shape it with the grader, and then compact it with the tamper. Now, this I can only repeat this so many times. You don't necessarily need the heaviest tamper because you're going to be doing this a lot. You know, it's like the shake weight. All right, so don't buy the heaviest tamper. It's not necessarily bigger is better when it comes to this. All right, so let's talk about drainage a little bit here. Okay, basically you got to remember that water flows downhill. Easy one to remember. So my yard pretty much goes this direction as far as water drainage. So anything at this end, any bank or berm or whatever, is going to contain the water. Now, a little bit of standing water is not necessarily a bad thing because puddles and a little bit of pondage is fun when you race, but you don't want a lot of water on your track. One of the reasons I like to seal it, besides the fact it makes the track a little bit faster, is because then the water will run off a little bit easier. But if you look down here, just aim down here. If you look down here, right here, this is a little bit of a berm, and I do get ponding in here, but for the most part, I eliminated that berm. Over here, I had a little area here where the water would back up here, kind of pocket in here. So I dug a little trench here. We just had a lot of rain, and that's the thing. You're going to really see after a rainstorm where you need to dig your trenches. So, you know, trying to think this all out ahead of time is smart, but at the same time, your best idea of drainage is going to come after rain. You're going to see where the water ponds and where you need to dig trenches. I also had a little pocket over here, so I had to dig a little trench over here. So that's pretty much drainage. Now, one thing that could be easier for a guy is to not mound up all the dirt and use plywood. Plywood jumps, whatnot, but I like this look. I think it looks a little bit more scale. You know, plywood jumps are definitely a lot less maintenance, a little bit more work, a little bit more investment, but I think this looks kind of scale. I think it looks like a real short course, and that was my goal. Now, when you're laying out your track with the corrugated pipe, you want to pay attention to actually kind of the flow of how the pipe works. I might have a trouble spot right here. I doubt it, but I might have a trouble spot right there because this end of this pipe could actually catch a tire and break an A-arm or a hub carrier or something like that. So you want to make sure if you have open ends of the pipe that they're going basically with the flow of traffic, not against it. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Here's an example here. This pipe is exposed here, but the cars won't go that direction, so it won't be a problem. If you had this turn the other way, it'd be dangerous. It could be something you could get caught up in and break part of your car off. All right, that's it for this show. So if you have any more questions, just comment below, comment, like, subscribe. Let me know if you have any input on the track and if you think it's cool or not. And I am in the mood to make it bigger, but that's up to you. If I get support from you guys, I'll make the track bigger. In the meantime, watch me drive my Slash.